Hello, I'm Nathalie Dupree, here for postandcourier.com. Today I'm going to do a brisket, just in red wine and onions, and tomatoes, but you can do it in all sorts of things. This week was my first real brisket because what I had been doing until then, since I didn't grow up with briskets, I had been using this meat. See the difference in the color? This is the meat that's sold in the grocery store as brisket corned beef. And so I have been using corned beef for brisket. Corned beef is brined and seasoned, and it worked fine, but it wasn't the same. And actually I have some recipes in one of my books where I always use corned beef and everybody says they're wonderful. But this is the whole brisket, and it is in a triangular kind of a shape. And then I'm browning it first, much as possible. Brisket really shrinks, so you might have to keep moving it around in the pan, and it's not absolutely necessary for it all to get browned. In fact, some people don't brown their brisket at all. So brown your brisket before or after you turn it. Sprinkle it with salt, freshly ground pepper, and a little paprika. You can rub it in or just sprinkle it on, whichever you prefer. And of course, you can add garlic. Some people add onion soup mix. That was the traditional recipe that I think was in The Joy of Cooking. So whatever you like. Now, cover it with a couple of onions. Saute a couple of onions in there. When you move out the brisket, saute a couple of onions, just lightly. Put them on top. You want to get as much flavor as possible. And then take your 24-ounce can of diced tomatoes. Why should you try to chop them up? And pour it on top. Then a cup of red wine and a cup of water. And I used the little mini bottles and it worked out perfectly. And then pour this on top. Now put your lid on, cover it with aluminum foil. Put your lid on and leave it to cook as long as possible, at least 5 hours. Put it in a 325 oven. I actually like a 275 oven, but you can decide what you want. All right, now I've made some briskets ahead of time because that's the real trick. Cook them 3 hours, 5 hours, whatever you can. Then they come out looking like this. So here's this, and you'll see how loosey-goosey it is. Got it? And lots of broth in there. Then chill it, because if you try to carve it now, you get something that all breaks apart. So you chill this till it's very cold, which is what I have over here. Then you slice it, and boy is this guy still hard, but that's all right, he's cold, and he's gonna go back into the pan, back into the oven, covered with the sauce for another hour or two. And when it is done, it will be so delicious, it will melt in the mouth. Brisket is a kind of chuck. It's from the front part, front plate, and it's just not, it's an inexpensive meat. So you take this, you put it right back in your pan, you cover it with your sauce, and then reheat it. This, as I said, you can see you could hardly carve that because it's coming apart, and it's the same meat. So enjoy your brisket. Don't buy the corned beef kind unless you want a corned beef. And I'm Nathalie Dupree, here for postandcourier.com.